What's up, everybody? This is the Perfectly Moderate Podcast, or as we like to call it, the Perfectly Modcast. This week is a special podcast. It's just me and Lennette here.
It's a broadcast, hookah and hangs, as they say. Shots for Harambe before we get too far. Just a regular old Jaeger bomb, keeping it simple, keeping it low key. So, Travis, tell them about the hookah.
Well, where to begin? Yesterday we bought to be specific, yesterday Lennette bought parts to make an industrial hookah, which we were going to buy out of parts from a hardware store. The thing is, the night before, when he had asked me about, parts and what we needed, I gave him the list of the stuff we needed, but he misunderstood me, and instead got us a Home Depot 5-gallon orange bucket and lid, a piece of flexible pipe about 3 feet long, and a garden hose. Oh, my bad. 5 foot of tubing.
I got 5 foot of flexible PVC pipe. Red flexible PVC pipe because it's pretty. It matches the orange. Thank you.
It's super flexible. It's not PVC.
Said PVC. I got the receipt to prove it.
And a garden hose. So we used a hunk of copper pipe that he already happened to have. We cut a hole in the top of the bucket, shoved the copper pipe in there, used the silicone that he bought to seal it in, wrapped some tape around to stabilize it, punched a second hole in the lid, put one end of the garden hose in there, cut the end off so that the metal tip just sticks out of the top of the bucket, cut off the hose on the other end so you can screw it on. That way, should we, get another hose or caps, we can, seal it and use it back and forth. And it's a ridiculous thing, but the sad fact is, it works. Lennette is sitting right next to me, pulling clouds of smoke out of it.
Yeah, fucking huge clouds. Flavorless clouds, but huge clouds of smoke nonetheless. And I'm very excited about that. I don't know, it works a lot better than I thought it would. I mean, when I went in there, you said a 4-gallon jug.
I said a 4-gallon water jug.
You said a 4-gallon jug.
No.
Yes. Anyways, you said a 4-gallon jug, some pipe, some PVC, and about 20 foot of hose. Didn't specify what kind of hose, so my mind went garden hose, 5-gallon jug, copper pipe, and the red things that PVC, so it technically counted. And that's what I got. I didn't know if it would work, but in my mind, this is mostly just a proof of concept to prove that we can make a hookah out of some garden.
The proof of concept worked. It is not what I wanted, but it works, which means when I go shopping for this next time, it will work better. Because if this works, we can make something better work.
Okay, so here's my thought, right? Because we apparently have 2 different concepts on what we could do. Do we want to do some sort of build-off challenge?
Yeah.
I was thinking that, right? Because we could just each get a $50 limit. It has to be bought at a Home Depot. And then build a hookah. Best hookah wins. We'll have Sebastian decide, because he's a pretty fair arbitrator. I mean, he can't really smoke the hookah, but he'll at least like the way it looks.
Yeah, I'm down. We'll get Sebastian to arbitrate and one person to try the hookahs, just to be like, alright, so this one, pulls, this one doesn't.
Well, our friends will definitely be into it, because, they're weird like that.
Yeah. Alright. I like it.
Here's what I'm thinking. Challenge starts now. What are we betting? Travis pulls on the hookah contemplatively.
Well, shit, there's not a lot we can bet for right now, but player 1 rights.
Player 1? Oh, okay. That's pretty fair. So in any videos we do with our game base, you want to be player 1? Whoever makes the better hookah is player 1?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying it right now. Sebastian just can't win. Has to be me or Travis.
I mean, it would be hilarious to see Sebastian build a hookah just to try and beat us for it.
Sebastian will build a hookah in the same way we built the trebuchet in high school. We would just tell his dad about it. His dad would be super interested, build it for him, and then he'd just submit that. I mean, I'd say it was a 60-40 effort, kind of like when you build a volcano, like the baking soda volcano. Your parents are really the ones building it. You're just telling them how to do it.
See, now I kind of want to include Sebastian just to see what kind of amazing hookah that his dad could build as an engineer. Because it'd probably be better than ours, and it'd be like, I'd be willing to let Sebastian be player one over that.
I mean, you know what? Sure, if anybody wants to throw their hand into the race, they totally can. But
I mean, a crazy hookah contest could be a lot of fun.
yeah. Okay, so who would we get involved? Parker?
Yeah. I mean, Parker could probably build some sort of weird monstrosity like the power hookah he was talking about.
Oh, that's nuts.
I mean, I really kind of want to build a power hookah now. It would take more than $50, but...
Describe the power hookah.
So, the idea for a power hookah is basically a sealed vacuum with a pump set up to it. So, you can flip a fan on, and it cycles and basically pulls air through, burns the coal, sucks all the, smoke and flavor in, and you can periodically just, pull off the hose and get, a mouthful of smoke. It's almost like, a hookah vape.
A hookah vape. I like that. That's a good way to describe it. And then I was saying, for fun design aesthetics, you could put itty-bitty holes in the top so that the smoke always kind of just leaks out and it looks a little ominous and spooky.
Mm-hmm. Besides, you'd need some sort of smoke release if it's going to, do a constant pull.
Ooh, tell them about our mini hookah. Our current hookah, the one we use that because all of our other hookahs got fucked up.
Oh, so we've got this mini hookah that's become a monstrosity. It's a Starbucks Frappuccino bottle with a hookah top set in it because it's just the perfect size. You have to fill it almost all the way full, so there's about 1.5 inches of open space without water. And then, because it's tiny, it's not stable, it is gorilla taped to this ashtray that's fairly heavy duty to keep it, from tipping over. But the issue is, because the amount of tape I used, it is now no longer stable and wobbles, so we had to put it on the roll of gorilla tape itself to keep the motherfucker stable. It's a ridiculous little monstrosity, but it works. We've had horrible luck with hookahs, which is why at this point we've decided, build your own hookahs. No, that's our best route. We can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things, so if we make things that are basically shit and have spare parts laying around, even if it breaks, we can just replace it almost immediately. No harm, no foul. Plus, it just looks cooler. We can make cooler shit.
Yeah. Again, I am excited for my $50 hardware hookah.
Hey, no other hookah could have a 40-foot hose. I mean, it could, but not as effectively. Which I was surprised by how well a hose works no matter the length, because, the one we have right now is probably about 3 feet. We started with probably about 9, and we're like, no, that's too long, because my Parker was being an asshole, and it's like, yo, let's just go crazy. Started too long. He made a solid point. You can shorten it up, you can't lengthen it. So, it was a little too short. Shoved a copper pipe in it so we had a mouthpiece. But we didn't like how short it was because, garden hoses aren't super flexy when you first get them. So we then just took the other half of the cut piece, shoved it back on there, and like, well, I guess 9 foot was the way to go. And even with the extra extension, worked fantastically. See, the thing I was thinking about the garden hose and what we used and ended up doing was garden hoses have 2 ends and you can, tighten them together. So my thought process was cut one end off, just make that be the part that goes in there, and then we can, attach the other part and not have to worry about it because it just has a way to attach and detach on a whim, basically. There was some thought going into this stupidity. Also, it's kind of dumb that the bucket and lid are 2 separate pieces you have to buy. Bucket's $3, lid's $2.
No, makes sense.
No, just bucket, $5. Shouldn't be lid and bucket.
Because you don't always need the lid. Maybe you just need the 5-gallon bucket.
Well, then I have a lid laying around. It's fucking frisbee for the dog. Damn.
Why would you use that as a frisbee for your dog?
Because I needed to do something with it. I bought a $5 bucket and lid.
Or you could just buy a $3 bucket.
No. That's dumb. You know what's not dumb? I'm gonna wait for you to finish. Travis draws on the hookah in anticipation. Voltron, Legendary Defenders.
Oh yeah, there was a story you said you were going to say for the podcast.
Oh, right, with my car. I actually want to talk about Voltron, so we could go about that for a while. But I got something really childish. So, my car, on the way over here, rolled over to 80,082 miles, or boobs miles. I told you it was a really dumb thing. Like, it's not a funny joke, it's nothing new, but I noticed it driving through town and made several laps just to get it to boobs.
Okay, that was worth it.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I like me some Voltron, though.
Me too. Okay, did you ever watch any of the old Voltrons?
Yes, some of. Not a lot of the old series.
How much?
I didn't watch enough consistently, but I would say I've seen like 20, 25 episodes of the original Voltron.
How many Voltron series have there been? A lot, right?
I think this is like... I don't think there've been that many. It's just they've kind of been spaced out. I feel like this is the second reincarnation. There was one that happened around our childhood, I feel.
I think so. I don't remember. I know there was a Voltron back when I was like 5 that I saw on TV, but it was the one my mom had been watching when she was young in like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a new thing. It was just reruns. Then I think there's actually was 2 different Voltron reiterations going at the same time, one on Cartoon Network, and then like the rights got fucked around and it ended up on Netflix, because there's one where they're like not space cadets in the way they are in Voltron on Netflix, but they're like actually in space, they're all aliens and shit, and they're not associated with Earth at all, which is...
Oh, yeah, that was a side Voltron. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, so it was like, it's still Voltron, but it was just like not the one we're talking about. We're talking about the Netflix version, which is hella dank. We started watching it, a few months ago?
Yeah.
Just on a whim, and we caught up to it. What you looking at?
I, on my phone trying to find out how many Voltron series there have been.
At least a few. But what do you like about this one, dude? There's some spoilers going on. Just wanted to mention that real quick before we get too much farther. Then I'm going to edit this part so it goes before the rest of the conversation so that Token doesn't get mad again.
Good idea.
You should check out Token's podcast, What Are You Doing podcast. There's a little plug for you, buddy, because I fucked it up.
Well, I like how there have been some interesting twists to the new one. Like, you find out through watching that the Green Lion is actually a girl who is basically pretending to be her older brother and is out on a cosmic quest to find her older brother / dad. And then, there's...
I forgot about her dad. She was so focused on her brother. I think she forgot about her dad, too.
She did, but now that she found her brother, they're both like, oh, man, we need to find dad.
Oh, and we talked about it, too, because it's really fun that they included Pidge, which is the character's name, but they're always so specific that they don't actually refer to Pidge by gender. They just always say Pidge, which I think is a very distinct writing choice, because I don't know if Pidge is supposed to be transgender, but, like, again, she portrayed being a dude for so long that I feel like it's just natural that they're like, well, this is just part of the character now. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, like, nobody cares anymore. It's just like that, and then that
On
way...
a few occasions, they've addressed Pidge as, like a her or something like that, but it's very rare, and it's mostly Allura saying it. Yeah, everybody just kind of says Pidge.
Which is, again, it's just a very distinct writing choice, and I appreciate that.
But the characters are interesting, and almost all of them have, just some sort of motivation to why they're doing what they're doing. The only 2 characters that don't have a major motivation at the moment will probably, get some sort of motivation in the coming season, because they've been doing a lot for character progression lately.
That's Hunk and Lance, right?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Hunk's major motivation is that he's there for his friends, so, like, Hunk's literally just there because all of his friends are, and I feel like Hunk's the one that, we've already had this conversation, he's probably going to be, like, an ambassador or something after the series, because he really likes the alien species and, like, learning about their culture, whereas Lance is just kind of a playboy, so...
Air quotes around that.
So he'll probably get some sort of, like, legit romantic interest, then she'll die, and then he'll be motivated to, like, do something like that. I don't know. Because it's a pretty fucking dark show.
See, that's what I like about this new Voltron series. It's gotten kind of weird and dark. Like, in the current season, Shiro is possibly a clone of the dead Shiro from, you know, the fight in, what was it, season 3? Yeah, the end of season 3.
Spoilers! What?
Nothing.
Anyways, you were saying? Yeah, the fight in season 3. No, it was in season 2? 3? 2.
Are you sure? I feel like it was the end of season 3.
Well, we're on season 4 right now. We just ended season 4. End of season 2 is the big fight with,
Okay, I guess it was the end of... Yeah, because season 2 was them, you know, really learning about themselves
yeah.
and coming...
1 was getting the lines, 2 was dealing with the Galra, 3 was everything's weird and we lost Shiro, so they had to get the Paladins together. 4 was, alright, we're back on the offensive because we're back together, and then, like...
The Galra are a problem again and we need to deal with them, and...
Yeah, but, like, the main antagonists for season 3 and all that bullshit's still going on. That's another reason I like it. There's a lot more going on than you can really think about, and that's why I like how many characters there are, because, like... One of the things they do is they really, like, hardcore split the party. So you're like, okay, this handful over here doing this thing for, like, 2 episodes, this handful over here doing this thing for 2 episodes, and it's not that thing where, like, everything's happening concurrently. It's a very clear division of the narrative, which I feel helps, because it makes it very, like, good for character development. Because we have some fucking fantastic development every time we do this stuff.
It's not just, like, some series where the entire party has to go everywhere at the same time always.
And then the characters get muddy and shit. It's just like, no, we gotta put them over here to do this thing. Even when they, like, have their solo stories. It's fucking fantastic. Like, when Pidge went off and did his thing. Like, it was so great to see him, like, to see Pidge stand up on his own. Damn it. I can see why they don't.
It was cool to see Pidge doing, you know, solo stuff that was pretty badass because Pidge is normally the tech one. There.
There we go. That was a good one. Thanks for saving me, buddy.
Got you, bro. But, you know, it's been decent, and the animation style is actually really good because it's, you know, new. And, I don't know. Some of it is your typical, you're gonna get it from Voltron, you know, fight the bad guys, form the lion, you know how almost everything is going to go, but... Like, even the enemies have been a little interesting. Like, learning how to use the abilities on Voltron, some of the things that they've had to fight have just been bizarre. Like, the monster that was basically nothing but eye lasers.
Yeah. I like... Because it's one of those shows like Power Rangers where it falls victim to, well, we have this really cool transformation sequence, so we have to sneak it in somewhere. So there's points where I feel like they just... Because there's always the, let's form Voltron! And they do the whole thing with the lions transforming and shit, and it's like... We didn't need this, though. Like, they'll just, like... I think there was one episode where they're like, let's form Voltron for, like, a show of arms. And it's like, do we need the transformation sequence in the middle of this, like, weird comedic thing, though? Because why?
And, you know, it never changes, so it's always just so serious that we're forming up Voltron, you know, the legendary defender. And then it's like, we're mostly forming Voltron to show a bunch of people on you know, alien worlds. We can form Voltron to save them.
I liked Voltron on Ice.
Voltron on Ice was definitely...
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was. Again, sometimes even legendary heroes get stuck doing weird shit.
Speaking of legendary heroes stuck doing weird shit, how pumped are you for Tabletoppers? We film next week.
It's going to be interesting.
That's for sure. I mean... We'll probably have a trailer coming out for that in a couple of weeks. It's debuting, I want to say end of May, early June, and it's going to be a 12-week run of our D&D podcast. So hold on to your dice because it's going to get weird, bro.
Real fast.
Real fast. All right, what else you pumped for this year? Oh, shit, how about that Warped Tour lineup? You don't care about Warped Tour. It's last year Warped Tour.
Oh, we had that conversation before.
On the podcast, though?
No.
All right. So last year, Warped Tour.
I mean, as someone who's never been a huge Warped Tour fan, that's... I mean, it's unfortunate because the last run for any good concert, you know, sort of lineup is just a shame, much like the one that, you know, used to happen here in Madison, but...
Well, there was, like, Remember Uproar Tour, Music is a Weapon?
Yep.
There was a bunch of, like, really good tours that just kind of died off. And I think a lot of it had to do with, like, weird to say, ticket sales. Because, like, I don't know. I like Warped Tour. It's fun. But I feel like it has this weird suffering issue of all the bands everybody really, really wants to go see all play at the same time. Because there's so many bands, they all have a really short set. So, you get the songs you want, but at the same time, it's not like...
It's a sampling platter.
Yeah, it's not the band's enjoying it, you know what I mean? Like, they probably are enjoying it, but you play the same songs over and over and over again, and, like, especially because, like, they can't put any production value into it, so, like, it's really just them coming on, giving their shit. It's really fun. I enjoy it, but it's mostly for the energy the crowd gives, which is actually what I want to do this year for Warped Tour, because now that we're a company, I really wanted to be like, hey, let's get press passes, let's go to Warped Tour, let's film these bands, let's have some interviews, especially for the Ernie Ball stage, which is where the local people play, because we've hung out with Growing, I've met Versus Me, a lot of the bands we know locally, and my Amber has played the Ernie Ball stage in Milwaukee, so I really wanted to go with my camera and shit, not to focus on anything specific, but to go to the Ernie Ball stage and go, look at all these amazing bands from your fucking area that are playing Warped Tour, why didn't you go see them? Because, like, Wage War's gonna come back in a couple of months, We Came as Romans is coming back, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, all the big name bands, they'll come back eventually. I don't know. But now that it's a totally different experience, I really want to go to a lot of Warped Tours to capture, like, the fan energy, because I feel like there's going to be a very different connotation. I almost feel like a lot of the old school people from, like, how long has Warped Tour been going, even? It's a long fucking time, right?
Yeah. I want to say
Since
15...
I want to say since the 90s.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, a long-ass fucking time. But I feel like hopefully a lot of those old people from the first few Warped Tour will come back out and be like, hey, we're OG, let's rep this shit, let's really, really push for this to be a really good send-off to what has been an amazing boost to probably a lot of local music scenes, a lot of the music scene in general. It's been a fucking great platform for just young people who haven't had a place to go and, you know, express themselves as a community for a day. Just go and do it. I mean, I remember going to Warped Tour and running into bands like, or people like Jesse from Growing, Ryan from Martyrs Fall, Matt from To Paint With Fire, and just, like, running after each other. And, like, it was weird because obviously we're all going to go here to see different bands, but we're all going to the same place and just, like, having that weird moment of, like, hey, I haven't seen you in fucking months, but, like, it's cool to see you, have a conversation, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? Oh, that was sick, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the ability to connect with people who you haven't seen, the ability to have that moment in an instant, how pivotal that must be for some people. Like, I mean, going to Warped Tour year after year, I've seen some of the same people over and over again. So it has to be good to be like, finally, there's people who get me, because a lot of the music I listen to, I know you guys don't listen to. So it's great to just go and be surrounded with people who like the same shit you do.
Yeah. There's that instant recognition. It's like, I know you. And there's something to be said for that. Again, especially when it comes to, like, music, because music is one of those expression things.
Travis deals with the bucket hookah.
It works. That's really the best I can say about the bucket hookah.
You know what else just barely works?
What?
Neo Yokio. What's Neo Yokio, Travis?
Man, how do you go about describing Neo Yokio? So, Neo Yokio is an anime that's kind of a slice of life anime, and it's a reimagining on New York with, I don't know, it's supposed to be set in the future, but not the distant future. But magic's the thing, there are robots.
It's like a waifu's dream.
Yeah, basically. I mean, admittedly, I kind of want to watch more of it just to see, like, if there actually does end up being an overarching plot.
There has to be, but it's probably about, like,
something stupid.
God, yeah. The first episode has to do with the main character getting over his breakup. I don't even know how long they were together, but his ex-girlfriend moving to fucking LA. He's heartbroken about it. Throws, like, a $50,000 watch into traffic. And then deals with the possession of a high-end clientele because he wants to improve his social status, and ends up solving the problem because he realizes the dress she has is possessed, not her, after having a conversation about perfume with an old man in a graveyard. Keep in mind, by the way, the old man's just talking about perfume and how his wife liked one specific scent, and the main character's like, hey, that's a good scent, but fuck your wife's taste, because, like, that's old school, bitch. Let me have my robot whip up some cool shit.
To which the old man is like, well, no, thank you. And then he basically goes, a classic's a classic, but only when it comes to cars, clothes, or watches.
Yeah, not sense.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, way to just shit all over him. And he's kind of a prick, but he solves the possession, and then he's like, man, I solved the possession. Time to go help my friends win their field hockey game because I wasn't going to do it because I was, depressed about my life. Shows up at the last moment on the back of his robot, wins the field hockey team for his friends against his rival, of course, and raises his standing to #1 most eligible bachelor in Neo Yokio. And that's episode 1.
Which is projected on Times Square, by the way. So it's like, hey, this is the most fuckable dude in all of basically Magic New York. Get on his dick.
Basically.
Oh, and he has a fucking rival, right? His rival is now the second most eligible bachelor after the events of this episode. And what really, really clinches it as them being rivals is when they're trying on suits in the same store at the same time. They're in neighboring stalls. Dude just says something, and main character just fucking blows him through the wall with some magic. Like, shut the fuck up, punk.
Because the people with magic used to basically be exterminators.
They still are. Demons are a problem. Demons are a respectable problem. So, much like school shootings, maybe we should do something about that. They did. They got magic users from the old country, right? They come over. They're now called rat catchers because demons are like rats. They're fucking everywhere. They have a problem. Deal with it. They did. So they're like high class, but not. They don't have any old-blooded money. They can just shoot you through fucking walls. So, like, let's disrespect them.
Yeah, that basically sums it up. And for some reason, almost all of them have pink hair.
It's Japanese anime. Everybody has weird hair.
Yeah. But his rival calls him a rat catcher, and he basically kamehamehas him through, like, 5 stalls.
I'm sorry, what, bitch?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Alright. So the bucket hookah's almost dead. Should we call this episode?
Let's.
Alright. Thanks for having the hookah and hangs this week, guys. We'll be back next week with probably a lot longer and way more interesting podcast. But that's dependent on personal taste. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube and Patreon. If you want to see this as a video podcast, you gotta get us to $500 on Patreon. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Later.